Off you go, Jim.
Yeah, the park was opened by the Countess of Abercorn, who was a close friend of AE's, and between the two of them, they set up a lot of the children's hospitals in Dublin at the time for the poor. So that's who came to open it.
The books that he wrote, and a lot
It's beautiful, Jim.
Yeah.
So we're just coming down.
You know, there's an old story about the ancient Irish, they used the geese as guard dogs.
Yes.
A warning. So they would have warned when the geese would have alerted people when they're being attacked.
Yep.
So the ancient Irish used the geese for that there, you know. So
But that goes back to the Trojan Wars too.
Trojan War, that's right, that's
yeah. The same.
That's where they would live.
Are they friendly geese now, Jim? Are they?
I'm sure they are. Most Lurgan things are friendly.
Are the Lurgan geese friendly there?
They probably come from. What did you say they were born Greece? Probably from
These
the
are
Arctic or something.
Canadian barn.
Canadian?
Yeah, these are Canadian barn geese. Yeah.
Well, do you know what? Normally when birds and, animals are, kind of friendly to you when you come to near, it means that the people of the area,
And nice.
are nice and they trust people.
Oh,
so that's
good.
nice to
Thank you
see.
very much. Thank you.
Yeah,
That's lovely.
yeah.
So we just imagine AE and his sister here around this tree. Usually,
Aww.
this is where we would traditionally read the poem, A Memory, AE, where he mentions, about his sister, the playing in these grounds. So, it's, as you say, it's very sad. She died at 18. She was only 18 when she died.
That's right. He missed her terrible.
It probably had he missed her.
It had a huge effect on him, yeah.
Effect on his life. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So, and over there is the Jubilee Fountain, and it used to be in the middle of the town, and so it was moved here to make way for the war memorial for First World War.
Yeah.
So that's a beautiful. There's only 2 of them in the world that still exist, and I think that's the best one that existing in the world. So
It's absolutely beautiful here, Jim.
yeah.
Oh, it's just divine. I think we'll sit on the seat that
Yeah.
George Russell.
These are the lime trees that he talks about.
Yes.
He mentions these lime trees. He put actually some of, on his anniversary, we brought branches of the lime tree up that were actually in bloom at the time and put them on his grave.
Oh,
So he left the lime trees on his
he would have
grave.
loved that,
Yeah.
wouldn't
And
he?
of course, he believed in the trees have spirits.
Oh, definitely.
And Hydramad, he called them Hydrads, and the spirits of the trees. And he would have talked about the spirits of the trees all the time,
Yeah.
And
You can tell your secrets to the trees, they'll
can.
keep it for you, or tell your woes or your troubles.
yeah, well, these
And-
trees have lots of secrets, I presume.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a tree has the energy of being grounded and secure.
Yeah. And I've never heard of a tree harming anybody in my life.
No. Well, look at how much it gives us.
It gives us loads. It'll give you-
Oxygen,
yeah. And it gives you timber for building and
everything.
firewood. It gives you shelter. And it gives you oxygen as well.
Absolutely. We
It
can't
produces
live without the
oxygen.
trees. We need them.
You need them big time, So,
Hello. This lake is magnificent. The signet there. What a lovely spot to come to. It's in Lurgan and just wildlife on the doorstep. It's just incredible. Hello. We're feeding time at the zoo here. Oh, there's 3 of them there fighting over. Oh, greedy gods. Oh, shit. Oh. It's amazing, Jim, to have such a beautiful place on your doorstep. Literally wildlife and the beautiful lake right on your... I mean, that's incredible, isn't it?
It was an epiphany to the people. It has been an epiphany to the people during COVID lockdown.
Yeah.
Because the people fell in love with it again and started using it. And I think this is the heart of Lurgan. This is the heart of Lurgan people. It's a beautiful place. It's a spiritual place.
Very spiritual.
For a reason.
Absolutely. Yeah. There was a lot of positive things come out of COVID, and one of them was heading back into nature.
People go back to nature.
It was the same in Trim. I don't know, many people were walking on the common in Trim every day, and people made friends that they would never have made friends with because they never met each other.
Yeah, people in our town fell in love with the park even.
That's good.
It's a beautiful place. The path goes right round and round here again.
Does the path go right around the lake? It does.
It goes right around behind them trees. It goes right around there, and then it comes back here again.
Oh, beautiful.
And over just behind those clump of trees, there's it was made in. This was the energy for the town, the energy source, because it delivered the great mill. So it was a mill pond as well.
Oh, I see. Yes.
It was made into a mill pond, and so the mill race ran there, right across there, and ran underneath AE's house where they lived, and went across there to the mill. But before it was a lake, it had been a bog pool. You know, it would have been a place, a liminal place to our ancient people.
Yeah.
This is the place where we would have contacted our spiritual people.
It's amazing, like that house, you know, the house, Brownlow House is actually built on a cairn, and that stone all came from that cairn. Wow, you can see that stone is amazing.
So, and this is what I'm telling you, this is the vibrations that he was picking up, these vibrations here.
Oh, he was, definitely, yeah. So he was definitely picking up.
Saying is, even if you're a non-believer in that sort of stuff,
yeah,
the physicists are now recognising this vibration all through the universe.
Yes.
And all, you know all this astrophysics and all that. They're saying that
it's there.
The lowest denominator is this vibration. Everything is in vibration.
Everything
So
is energy.
Everything is energy. So, he was able to tap into that vibration and interpret it better than anybody that has ever lived.
That's why he was able to write the poetry he was able to write, and why he was able to paint the paintings he painted.
About these things, he was explaining things.
He was seeing things from a whole different perspective, or in a different dimension even.
Well, when we see things in 3D, he was seeing maybe the fourth dimension.
The fifth dimension, I would say.
Fifth dimension,
yeah.
That was what he was seeing. It was being illuminated to him.
Oh, he was definitely
you can
in that.
us seeing things black and white. He was seeing it in Technicolor.
Exactly. He was enlightened, that man.
Yeah.
So, where are we going now, Jim? Have we to meet Paul somewhere?
Paul is a crowd there. Is that Paul standing up there? Is it? No. Where did he went back to the car to get something? I think.
Okay. So will we go back up to meet him? And
we'll go back. I didn't know he was going to have a tour.
Yeah, he told me he was having a tour and he invited me on. I thought you knew.
No, my phone wasn't. I was transferring phones.
I say I have 20 different trees and plants to speak about. So you can imagine the bullet points I need to reignite my memory of talking about one. Otherwise, I could be talking about one tree actually belongs to another. So this is it. Now also, you notice I'm carrying something in my belt here. This is called a stave. It's what the ancient, hey David, there's his man himself, David Martin. A stave is what the ancient pre-Christian days, even running into about the 13th century, before paper was actually manufactured. And this is what our ancestors would have wrote on. Now the main stave would have been made from these trees that you see inside of you there. Now these are actually called Taxus hibernica, which is an Irish. I'll tell you the story in a minute. But made from those trees. This one's actually made from their cousins of pine. I've inscribed on it with the old ancient alphabet what our ancestors, our great grannies would get done. This is all over Scotland, Ireland, Wales, England and all. It goes back many centuries. So I'll let you pass that round, have a look at it. I've also inscribed what it says in English. You read the bottom up the ways. So it's only just a wee idea how. So they didn't have books. They had these, and the bards or the poets of old would have carried. If you can imagine somebody carrying a quill for carrying arrows, they would have carried a quill here, and inside that quill they might have maybe 12 of these here. They were like prompts. So when they do their talk, they would then prompt them to do a poem or a story. Of course, these guys would have been the greatest things in sliced bread. They are film stars, but there's no TV, there's nothing, no cars. So whenever one of these poets or bards came into a village, it was fantastic. It was like a film star coming in, and this is what they would carry them in the quill. So you can pass that around and have a wee gander at it. Give it back to me
what
later.
did the right with?
Somebody hold on to it. Pardon?
What did the right with?
Sorry?
What did the right with?
What did they write with? Ink, not ink, they dye from different trees or plants. In particular, one of the dyes is from a tree that I'd speak about called an alder, which has a blood red sap. So you can imagine what, all different dyes. It's even done, they made their clothes and all the clothes colours also made from trees and plants, the dyes. Right, so start. Okay, each side of here at the gate there you see the trees with a flat top on them. But, David has something to say to you here. What did you do?
Paul was saying when you should come back, do you just want to come in for a cup of tea?
Yes.
We usually close at 3:30, but if you were going to come back in for a cup of tea, I'll just get the staff to wait on for you, just as long as you were coming back in.
I'm passing, thank you. I apologise.
No, that's okay, Manny.
Do you want to put your hands up if you think you might want to?
About a dozen? That's all right. Okay.
Thank you, David. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Two trees here, two trees further up. These are yew trees. They're Irish yew. And a wee story about the Irish yew. Back in 1740, it was quite a while, a man called George Willis, he's a farmer in Fermanagh, and he was walking around his farm on a hillside in the Cooley Mountains, not Cooley Mountains in Fermanagh. He noticed that one of the trees growing, one of the yew trees, looked somewhat different to the other yew trees. Now there's a yew tree growing in a garden as we passed, and I'll show you the difference between two different. So he took two berries from that yew tree, and one of the berries was planted in Fermanagh. Hang on to get the right name of this place because there's not many places in Fermanagh. Sorry about that.
Florence Court. Florence Court.
Florence Court is correct. Thank you. Florence Court. And that tree is actually still growing
We're
today.
Fermanagh people, you say.
And it's called the mother of the Irish yew. And the name is to say is Taxus hibernica. It's the hibernica is the name that the Romans gave to Ireland way back. Now, the trees themselves, the original yew trees, were called the tree of immortality and rebirth. The reason they're given that is that they can live to between 4,000 and 6,000 years under the right conditions. Now, the two oldest yew trees in Ireland is one in Crum Castle Estate, and the other one's in Meath, in hang on.
There's a big one outside the theatre in Fermanagh.
Yes,
A massive big one
that's
outside
probably
the
it then.
theatre.
And one in Maynooth College in grounds down in Meath. They're both said to be over 800 years old. Now the oldest in the UK is in Aberdeenshire, and it's said to be 3,000 years old, maybe even more than that. So you can imagine. So that's where the immortality part came in. The rebirth comes in. There's two. Is that if a branch of the yew tree hits the ground, it will start growing again. So it was given the rebirth. Now, whereas a lot of the ancient talk about trees being in the paganism, this is one of a few trees that actually transfer right into Christianity, where the trees were planted around graveyards. Now, there was some speculation that there was because of the pines being poisonous to animals, it was to keep animals from digging up the graves and all. But that has been sort of overruled now by historians that none of the graveyards, we have one in Lurgan called Shankle Graveyard. In fact, Mr. Conway does tours of it. And they were actually ancient graveyards going back maybe hundreds and hundreds of years. I know the trees are Taxus hibernica. A place out in Durryard, we have the original Irish yew, and they're planted at the corners, 3 corners of the graveyard. So they're a symbol of immortality. And the rebirth into Christianity was a rebirth into the next life. It was quite interesting. Now, the wood itself used to be used for bows. So the warriors of old would have made it because yew wood actually grows harder and stronger as it ages. Of course, we're also known as a very magical tree. Out of all the trees in ancient Celtic mythology, the yew would be the most magical. So if you had a bow made out of it, of course that gave it more strength and more. You had sort of the gods looked after you for doing that. So some of the items that was made from it too, believe it or not, bagpipes were made from it. The chanters and the pipes themselves were made from the yew. I don't think they're still made from it, but they used to be made from it, which is quite interesting. Right, that's our yew tree. If you look behind you there, I'm only going to quickly mention this. See those 2 tall, very elegant trees? They're called poplar, and they're called Lombardy poplar from the area of Italy, where they actually came from. But I will be speaking about their close relatives as I go around the park, the poplar tree, because there's some very fascinating stories about them. We're going to make our way now back the way we came, back to the gate, and then we start walking around the park.
I apologise to you for talking about this, but I was trying to find out who it's about to make a television program.